Hey, what's up everyone? It's Kupo. Today I wanted to bring you guys my archery guide. So these are pretty much just my opinions, just from my playthroughs. The first thing you're going to want to do is decide what kind of bow do you want. So let me show you the options. You have the hunting bow, the war bow, and the cultivator bow. These are the three bow types. And then there is a legendary bow called the Phantom String, and we'll talk about that a little later. So, I wrote down the level requirements. So, the first level of the cultivator bow can be equipped right out the gate. Level 1, you can put it on. And then the second tier would be the hunting bow, which can be equipped at level 6. And then the war bow is the highest damage bow, and this can be equipped at level 10. So these are upgraded versions of the bows that I have here. They have an original form, so like warbow would just be called warbow, and then you can upgrade it 3 more times. So it starts warbow, warbow 1, warbow 2, warbow 3. So there's actually 4 versions of each bow. So warbow 1 is actually the second version of the warbow. So you can just upgrade them through the crafting skills. So with that being said, which bow should you choose? Well, for me, the best bow is the war bow, and I save all my attribute points for dexterity and strength, and that way I can equip it very early. So for example, the war bow, the very first level of it, it can be equipped by level 10. If you just put your points in straight dexterity strength, you don't worry about anything else. And then if you upgrade the Warbow 1, it can be equipped at level 15, which seems pretty high, but 79 damage by level 15 is very good. I believe that's gonna break the armor barrier of a troll. So you could basically kill everything in this game with a Warbow 1, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. So after Warbow 1 is Warbow 2, which can be equipped by level 19, and then Warbow 3 can be equipped by level 24. So this is just if you go pure strength dexterity. And then also to note, you can get things that increase your stats in amulets and rings. So you can get up to plus 10 dexterity on a ring, and you can get, like for example, my dual skill amulet gives me 5 strength and 5 dexterity. So keep that in mind too. You can equip things even sooner. So, like I said, for me, I wanted the best bow, so I went with the war bow. That means I'm going pure strength and dexterity. That means I can't get a lot of the nice little perks, like, where is it? Where's animal skills? There it is, like animal trophies. You can't get animal trophies till a little later with my build, which that might bug a lot of people, because when I kill mobs, basically I don't get any loot. But if I had animal trophies, I'd get a lot of loot. So that's gonna bug some people, but in my opinion, it's not even an issue until level 25, and that's when you really want to start making sure you're getting loot off the higher tier mobs. So if you're a kind of person who wants a more well-rounded character and that's not fully just invested in a bow, and you kind of want to make your way through the game and have a more versatile character with skill points in different areas, I highly suggest that you go for this bow right here, the cultivator bow. So starting out at level 1, it's not so powerful, but it's easy to upgrade. So you can get it for level 1 and then to level 2, and look, it only takes 60 dexterity and 40 strength. So what does this mean exactly? Well, this is, in my opinion, the most well-rounded bow in the game is the cultivator bow 2, just because of the attribute requirements are so low on it for how much you get. So you're gonna get 76 damage, and the high stat is only 60 dexterity. And if you guys know how attribute points work, you can get up to 61 points. Well, let me backtrack. You can get attributes up to 30. After 30, each attribute starts costing 2 per point, right? And then once you get to 61, it costs 5 per point. So it starts costing a lot of attribute points to get your dexterity up. but it stops at 60, so you don't break that 5 points per attribute barrier. So this can be equipped very early. The cultivator bow 2 you can have on by level 10. And like I said before, if you get an amulet, you get a ring, you could have this on by level 9. So by level 9, you could have a bow equipped that will break the armor barrier of a troll. And that's mostly what I care about when I'm judging these bows, is getting you to the point where you can break the armor of a troll. If you can break the armor of a troll, you can basically defeat any mob in the entire game until you beat the whole game. So there's not going to be any blockers for you. Like El Colosero seems to be a really big blocker for a lot of people, because you just can't do any damage to him because he's got so much armor. Well, if you get this cultivator bow, and you're going to have to also have some attributes in ranged weapons, which takes dexterity and intelligence. So just the first one is like, what, 25 intelligence, I think? So you can get that in a level or two after you equip the bow, and then you should start being able to break the barrier of the armor of a troll. So, yeah, cultivator bow 2 I feel is the most rounded weapon, and that is why, because of the low attribute requirements. So the second tier of bow we have is the hunting bow. So first tier is cultivator bow, second tier is hunter bow, and then the best bow is the war bow. So the hunter bow, it does a little more damage than the cultivator bow, but you know, obviously it also costs a little bit more on the dexterity and strength requirements. I honestly don't care too much for this bow. It's not as accessible even as the cultivator bow and the war bow. Cultivator bow you find right at the start of the game, like you can't miss it. Then the war bow is at the first camp you go to in the game, and I'll show you where that war bow is at towards the end here. So hunting bow, you got to kind of travel a little bit to get it. So you have to go out of your way to pick this bow up. So I don't feel that it's really that valuable. So I personally would stick with cultivator bow and war bow. But if you have some sort of path where you feel like you need this bow, then go for it. To equip the hunting bow at its original initial level 1, it's at level 6 you can equip this bow. And then this hunting bow right here, the hunting bow 1, with the second version of it, can be equipped by level 12. And then the level 2 version can be equipped at 17, and the third upgrade version can be equipped by level 21. So that's kind of the progression of the hunting bow. And then lastly, let's talk about the phantom string bow. So phantom string bow is fantastic because you can just go pick it up at the camp in the center. It's just sitting there, does 72 damage. One thing you'll notice interesting though about it, all the other bows are dex heavy, but if you look at the phantom string bow, it's strength heavy, very strength heavy. So to equip this bow just straight out how it is, it would take 15 levels. If you went pure strength and then get the 30 dexterity, you'd be level 15. So you definitely would want to go pick up the Ring of Power, which gives 10 to strength if you wanted to equip this. But I have a few problems with this bow. The first problem is it takes dexterity and intelligence to get the archery skill, ranged weapons, which increase your damage to 10% per level. So if you're going heavy strength and you don't have dexterity, it's not going to synchronize very well. It's not going to synchronize very well with getting your extra ranged weapon damage. So overall, this weapon's actually going to be doing a little less damage than the other bows in that regard. But you can synchronize this. Say you don't want to just go full bow. Say you want to get some melee in there, right? Well, there's melee weapons that are strength-based. So if you're going to go for a strength-based melee weapon, this might be something that you want. So let's say you really want to use the Kiss of Death two-handed legendary axe. Well, it takes 76 strength and 92 constitution. Well, if you're going to get 92 constitution and 76 strength, how are you going to get dexterity for your bow, right? Like, how many levels are you going to grind out? How many of those Elex drinks are you going to drink? So with that being said, Sure, I think this phantom bow has a great place if you wanted to go that route. So if you want to use like a big two-hander and you just don't want to put points into dexterity, this will be a good bow to pull out some mobs, and it's got a moderate amount of damage. And honestly, without the archery ranged weapon skills, it's not gonna break the damage barrier of a troll. So you're not gonna be able to really kill like everything with this bow, but it's okay. Like you'll be able to kill albs in a couple of shots, most of the monsters in a couple of shots. But once you get up into those level 25 tier mobs like the trolls and up, you're gonna start having a hard time. But it's okay because you're planning on using a melee weapon with this anyway. So I really feel like that's what the point is of this weapon, is synchronizing with a good melee weapon. It does have a socket. It's the only bow, I believe, that has a socket. I'm still not impressed by sockets. I don't really feel like they really do that much. The gemstones were just way too hard to get. So, not even worried about the socket. So, I'm sorry that this lasted so long, but these are the bow types, and I'm just trying to give you a good explanation of what's good, what's bad about them. So for me, I go the war bow route. If you want to have more wiggle room in your skills, I would go for cultivator bow level 2, because 76 damage, it's fantastic. It's a fantastic weapon. Okay, so let me show you. So let's take this cultivator bow and equip it, and I'm going to show you how much damage it does. I do have the ranged weapon level 3, so I'm doing 30% extra range damage. You should be able to get at least 1 point in ranged weapons very early on in the game. So you could equip the cultivator bow too, and then put a few points into intelligence to get your ranged weapons up. So I want to show you how good this bow is for how cheap it is. You can have this on before level 10. So first thing I want to do is show you a troll. And then I want to start showing you some tactics for archery. So like one tip, trolls are going to throw a big boulder at you. The most efficient way to dodge a boulder is to just fly in the air. And it'll miss you pretty much every time. And then when you're fighting some mobs, you want to learn how to hover backwards like this. And as long as you're hovering backwards, they'll just chase you and you can just shoot them to death. So first things first, let me show you this troll, how I can break the armor barrier with this bow. Like I said, this cultivator bow only does 76 damage, but it's enough to break the armor barrier. So let's give it a try. See, he's starting to die. Can you see how I dodged that rock? Alright, so we have a lot of mobs here, so when I hit the ground I'm going to want to roll, but I'm kind of trapped. Need more open space. Should have thrown the rock, I'm going to dodge it. Actually, he just threw that way over my head. So you can hover like this to get some shots off. So in a rock, I can dip down too like this. And these two decided to fight each other. So you can fly up in the air and hover backwards like this, and this guy can't get you. If I had more space. So I can just hover like this. As long as you don't hover too high into the air, he won't shoot at you. They do have ranged attacks. So like about right here. And the charge will miss me. So the backwards hover is very important. And if you run out of jetpack fuel, you can always roll. Once you hit the ground, just start running and rolling away. Now I have jetpack again. Now I'm going to fly up in the air. And I can just start shooting him. Look at that. Nightshade dies pretty fast to the the cultivator bow level 2. So that's pretty awesome. Let's go back And I want to show you the Warbow 3, which I think is the best bow in the game. So let's equip it. 120 points of damage. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's see who wants to fight me. So this troll is just gonna fall over. Well, I have to hit my shots. Alright. As you can see, it's a lot more damage. Like, this guy was 2 shots, I think, for the Nightshade. 1, yeah, 2 shots. Yeah. That's my go-to weapon, is that. And another just tip for you guys is when you're going through the game, sometimes you'll fight humanoid things like Reavers or Albs. Sometimes you can't help it. 3 or 4 of them will be shooting at you from range. And it's really hard to deal with sometimes. Like, I just did the Abessa dispute, and I got in a fight with like 8 Albs at the same time, and I couldn't figure out how to beat them. And what I found out is if you just wiggle left, right, left, and you shoot, you try to shoot them as best you can, left, right, they'll miss most of the time. I'm not saying that they won't hit you, but they'll miss enough where you can actually do things. It'll give you space to kill them and all that. And the last thing I'd like to note is, if you're shooting as fast as you can, like you're trying to get the shot out immediately, I noticed that a lot of times, even if you're aiming right at the target, it'll whiff the shots way up in the air like this. So I'll be aiming like right here, and it'll whiff the shot way up here. There's 2 reasons why this happens. First reason is you're shooting too fast. I know that sounds weird, but I've just noticed it. It's just something I noticed that happens. So I found when you're shooting mobs, just let the bow go all the way back. Just take your time with your shots. If you're spamming the shots, sometimes they just go flinging in the air. And the other reason why they go flinging in the air is, see how the crosshair goes red when I'm aiming at him? Well, sometimes it'll go white because it's actually targeting the areas like behind him. And maybe it's really far away. So he could be running at me and I think I'm shooting at him, but I'll actually shoot like in between his arm or something because he's moving. And the crosshair will turn like white really quick and you'll shoot. And for some reason it'll want to overcompensate for shooting like way in the back. And that's why it'll fly up in the air. So yeah, you might notice that as you're doing archery that your shots are just being whiffed way up in the air. And I believe that is why, those 2 reasons. 1, you're shooting too fast. And 2, you might be shooting in between their legs and stuff. And in between their legs, it might be thinking you're trying to shoot a lot further than you really are. So, right. So that's your basics to archery. I like the warbow, cultivator bow. 2, most rounded weapon. There's other interesting things that I should probably note, like, I know this is a long video, guys. I'm just trying to get all this info out. So, like, the clerics are fantastic for ranged weapons. 1-man army increases your damage if you don't have a companion with you. Well, as somebody who's running around with a bow just trying to snipe stuff, this is a fantastic skill. And honestly, I haven't been too impressed with the followers. So getting 1-man army if you're a cleric is probably a really good way to go. Even if you're using a gun, guns are fine too. I think bows are a little better, but yeah. And then they also have this one with the weapon ability. Increases ranged weapon damage by 50. It's a 45-second buff. I don't believe this actually increases your damage by 50. I think it's a little less. It probably is 50, but it's coded in a really weird way. So I don't think it's just going to add 50 on top. But you do tell that it increases your damage by a little bit. So this is good too, to increase your damage. I think that's about it for those skills. Berserkers have Scatter Shot and Seeker Shot. And I'm probably not going to be that much help here. I can't figure out how to get these to work, I'll be honest with you. I see I have like -2, -1. Why? Like, I know it's because the warbow is equipped. See, I think the warbow, not just the warbow, but all of them give like these negative amounts. And but if you look at the phantom bow, where'd it go? Phantom string bow. It gives +1 to scatter shot and seeker shot. But as you can see here, I still, even with +1, don't have enough of the skills. So I noticed at the start of the game I could use the scatter shot and seeker shot, but I think once I joined the berserkers, something happened that made it locked it out, and I can't use it anymore. So that's something you guys might have to do some research on. But I remember using it. Like if you push the F key, you can change your shot types, and you can do like a spray of arrows. It's absolutely amazing. But like I said, since I joined the berserkers, it took that away from me, and I'm not sure how to get it back. We'll see how that goes. I'm not even sure if it was because I joined the berserkers. I'm not sure why. But yeah, I feel like the bows are the best way to go, guys. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed before I let you go. This is a really long video. I hope I touched all the bases. Yeah. So that's your basic guide to archery, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And like always, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, guys, so I'm going to show you where that cultivator bow is.
My skin. I look like one of the free people.
Right at the start of the game, I had to make like a new game to show you guys this. So literally at the start of the game, walk into the first building at the very start of the game, and in here to the left is right here a cultivator bow. And bam, we got it just like that. So there it is, cultivator bow. Just thought I'd show this real quick. Alright, so we're gonna go grab the warbow real quick here, guys. This is probably the most asked question on my YouTube videos too, is where to find this warbow. So we're right here, we're at the small camp, right at the very start of the game. I'm just gonna run up and grab it real quick. I made a brand new game just to show you guys where it's at, so I don't even have the teleporter yet. So I'm gonna hopefully just run past everything. See, there's the teleporter, here's the small camp. Probably gonna have to run for my life, but it's okay. So there should be a troll up here. Of course, he's standing right on top of it, but I can see the bow already. See it right there on this log? Warbow. Bam, got it. Alright, let's run out of here. Hopefully I don't die. Okay, so he's probably still chasing me, but I'll show you. Got the warbow here. See, warbow, 60 damage.
Looks like
and there it is.
Used this as a camp before now. Maybe I could use it. This place will be
Alright,
handy.
so that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.